strong men have always existed on the fringes of myth, treated less like athletes and more like walking proof that human limits are negotiable. These are not ordinary competitors chasing medals or records. These are men who bend steel, hoist vehicles, and make gravity look optional. Their bodies look engineered rather than grown. Their strength so extreme it feels unreal. For years, their worlds revolved around barbells, stones, and static displays of power. But at some point, raw strength stopped being enough. The question shifted from how much they could lift to whether that power could survive chaos, pain, and violence. That question dragged them out of strength arenas and into rings and cages where strength alone has never been a guarantee. Mario Pudzianowski embodied that transition better than anyone. A 5-time world's strongest man, he had already conquered his universe. There was no rival left to silence, no weight left to intimidate. Instead of retiring into legend, he chose uncertainty. He stepped into combat sports, a domain that does not respect muscle for its own sake. From his first moments in the ring, it was clear he did not arrive to experiment. He arrived to dominate. Against seasoned fighters who expected a slow, predictable giant, Pudzianowski moved with intent, exploding forward, compressing distance, and overwhelming opponents before they could settle into rhythm. His fight against Mariusz Materla showcased this perfectly. Materla tried to stand his ground, but it was like punching reinforced concrete. The pressure never stopped. The shots kept coming. One clean uppercut ended the night and erased any remaining doubts about whether brute strength could translate into real violence. The real shock came when he faced a massive undefeated giant weighing well over 300 pounds. The assumption was obvious. Size versus size would neutralize strength. 18 seconds destroyed that illusion. One punch ended the fight and shattered a jaw along with the idea that mass alone could protect you from a man who knows how to deliver force with precision. Even skeptics who dismissed him as a novelty act were forced to recalibrate when he entered his first MMA bout against an experienced professional. The narrative said he would gas out, slow down, and get dismantled. Instead, he charged forward like something unchained, turning his size into momentum and his strength into inevitability. That fight cemented his reputation not as a strongman playing fighter, but as a genuine threat. While Pudzianowski was proving that strength could be weaponized, another titan was building his own legend on a different axis. Hafthor Bjornsson looked like he had stepped out of a saga. His size alone distorted perspective. Everything around him seemed smaller by comparison. He dominated strongman competitions, crushed records, and became a global icon after stepping into popular culture. But one rivalry refused to die. Eddie Hall was his mirror image and his opposite. Another monster obsessed with being recognized as the strongest to ever live. Words escalated into resentment. Resentment hardened into obsession. Eventually, there was only one way left to settle it. When they entered the boxing ring, it stopped being about technique or records. It became personal. The opening seconds made it clear that neither man was interested in pacing themselves. They were there to hurt each other. Hall struck first, landing a punch heavy enough to drop Bjornsson and electrify the crowd. For a moment, it looked like the narrative might flip. But Bjornsson rose, recalibrated, and began dismantling Hall piece by piece. His shots were measured, relentless, and fueled by months of animosity. By the end, the rivalry that had consumed both men for years ended not with words, but with dominance.
Big punch there from 4. Eddie's made it to his feet.
Bjornsson walked away not just victorious, but validated. The aftermath didn't slow him down. If anything, it attracted more challengers. Devon Larratt, a legend in arm wrestling known for humiliating opponents at the table, decided to test himself in a new arena. When they faced each other in the ring, the difference was immediate. Arm strength could not replace striking experience or durability under fire. Bjornsson pressed forward, cutting off space, forcing Larratt to absorb punishment he was never built to withstand. The referee stepped in before the fight turned irreversible. It was not competitive. It was educational.
Yeah, very nice. Oh. Nice hook.
To see if Bjornsson's success was situational, promoters brought in a professional boxer, Simon Vallely. This was supposed to be the technical correction, the moment where skill neutralized size. Vallely tried to use movement and timing, but the reality of being hit by someone that large changed the equation. Each exchange reminded him that experience means little when every mistake carries the weight of a collapsing wall. Bjornsson made the point clear. Strength, when paired with discipline, becomes something else entirely. Not every monster came from strength sports. Bob Sapp was built like a nightmare and moved like one. His presence alone altered fights before they began. He didn't rely on elegance or strategy. He relied on fear and violence. Against Ernesto Hoost, one of the most dangerous kickboxers ever, the opening moments looked chaotic. Sapp charged forward, absorbing shots, delivering punishment with clubbing fists. Hoost tried to outlast the storm, but the damage accumulated too fast. Sapp overwhelmed him and walked away with a victory that still feels unreal in hindsight. His fights rarely followed a script. Against Kimo Leopoldo, it became a test of endurance and instinct. When fatigue crept in, Sapp dug deep, unleashing just enough power to reclaim control. Against Bobby Olagun, his patience snapped, and the fight ended with relentless ground and pound that forced the referee to intervene. Sapp was not refined, but he was undeniable. Then there was Ivan Shtyrkov, a different kind of monster. Less spectacle, more menace. His fights felt methodical, almost surgical in their brutality. Against Nasrudinovic, he dismantled his opponent with precision, capitalizing on mistakes and ending the fight decisively. When former UFC champion Rico Rodriguez stepped in, confidence quickly turned to desperation. Shtyrkov launched him, punished him, and refused to let him escape. Even Bigfoot Silva, a giant in his own right, could not impose his size for long. Momentum shifted, power spoke, and Shtyrkov emerged victorious. These weren't just fights. They were experiments. Each bout answered the same question from a different angle. What happens when extreme strength meets real violence? Sometimes it fails. Sometimes it overwhelms. But when strength is paired with intent, conditioning, and a willingness to endure pain, it becomes something terrifying. You've just witnessed what happens when the strongest humans on the planet stop lifting weight and start throwing it. These men didn't enter combat sports to prove they could win. They entered to see whether their power meant anything when the rules changed. If this kind of crossover fascinates you, if you want to see more stories where legends step outside their comfort zones and risk everything, make sure to support the channel. Drop a like if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more deep dives into the most brutal matchups in combat history, and let us know in the comments which strongman or crossover fighter you think had the most terrifying transition into the ring.